Welcome to Ben and Barry on Football. My name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. My compadre in crime here is
Ben Dickerson.
Ben Dickerson. I produce the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings, and my thing is Madden, but we're both NFL and we're both mainly football fans. Ben, his thing is
Fantasy football.
Fantasy football.
I'm a fantasy geek in all sports, all four major sports, but I love fantasy football.
Is it possible that one can be in too many fantasy leagues at one time?
Yes, it is possible. There probably comes a breaking point for most people. I have not reached that threshold yet.
And how many leagues are you in?
Two. I can't say off the top of my head.
Say.
If I had some time, I could go into my phone and I could count them for you. But I just showed you my baseball teams that are still alive, going in the semifinals and about to play for a chip next week. It was how many teams at least? 10?
Like 10, yeah.
At least.
That was just baseball. That wasn't even football.
No,
so you're probably somewhere pushing up
above
above 30 total teams.
Right. This is the end of the fantasy baseball season. These are the last 2 weeks of fantasy baseball. So I'm looking to win 10 championships.
I'll talk a little bit also about my I did play a competitive game online in Madden.
Okay, good. That's good.
So
I need to hear about that.
We have a game to discuss. But we're going to kick the game. We're going to kick this off as we usually do. We're going to go through the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings for net points, points for, points against, and turnovers. We'll move after that over to our matchups for the upcoming week 3. Some good matchups.
Absolutely.
Lots of questions to be answered. After that, we're going to take a look at his fantasy. We'll let him talk a little bit more about fantasy and what's going on in the fantasy world. I'll mention what's going on in my Madden world. And then we have a few great points of discussion. Lots of things happening, some history being made in the NFL. We'll mention that in a few stranger than fiction things that happen. So let's kick it off with the Net Point Power Rankings. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings page, and we'll share that page with you. And again, this is a Facebook page. You can find the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings, as you can see up in the top there, up in this area where you'll see that if you just search this out, you'll come and this is what you'll see. Let's take a look at the net points first. Top 5 net points. Number 5, the Jacksonville Jaguars with 16 net points. Now, these are some quality net points because Jacksonville, first week, who did they play?
Well, I know, let's see.
They just played the Patriots.
They played the Patriots and beat them. The first week, they played the Giants.
So, well, it takes away from the quality. Just messing with
Oh.
Giants fan.
Dude, you're
Niners
not funny.
fan.
It's not funny.
I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, I bet you did.
So Jacksonville with 16 net points. The Cincinnati Bengals showing up in the top 5 in net points with 22 net points after putting a hurting on the Ravens. The New York Jets, Jets, Jets. Everybody's still trying to figure out how good the Jets are or are going to be. And I did hear somebody say one thing that I said kind of earlier in that, whatever you think about the Jets, they're gamers. They come to play, and you can't ask for much more than that. The Baltimore Ravens at 33 net points. Now, the Baltimore Ravens are the beneficiaries of the Buffalo Bills. And I think that this year the Buffalo Bills are going to be what my Niners were in previous seasons and relative to net points. And that means that whatever team plays the Buffalo Bills, or back then it was the Niners, will get a bump in their net point rankings because they tend to lose. Buffalo tends to lose, and my Niners did, by pretty large margins at this particular point. Buffalo's going to make some changes in terms of their quarterback, and we'll see how that works out. But the number 1 team is pretty much the number 1 team. I don't care whose rankings you look at.
Yeah.
Because these guys are just loaded, and what they did to the poor Cardinals was difficult. So there's your top five: Jacksonville Jaguars, Cincinnati Bengals, New York Jets, Baltimore Ravens, and Los Angeles Rams. Any comments on that?
All I got to say is now this again is the net point power rankings as of week 2 going into week 3. The Baltimore Ravens were number 1 last week, like you said, basically by virtue of a whipping that they put on the Buffalo Bills. There was a few people who made some comments, I think, on the YouTube page in reference to, or something to the effect of, well, so much for the Baltimore Ravens being number 1. Well, guess what? They're number 2. And the bigger deal is, and I think I said this last week, the bigger deal is, what does this say about the Buffalo Bills? So again, that goes back to what you just got finished saying. It seems like everybody that plays the Bills is going to get some kind of a bump in their ranking.
You're going to get a bump in their ranking.
That's just going to happen, and that's just the way it is, and bang, bang.
You know? So, hey, look, there you go. All right. Let's take a look at our points for. So these are your top offensive production teams in the NFL. Starting with number 5, you have your LA Rams, who put up 67 points in 2 games. Number 4, the Cincinnati Bengals. Number 3, again, the Baltimore Ravens. Number 2, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah.
I enjoyed that one.
They're calling them Fitzmagic now. And number 1, Kansas City Chiefs. Man, we'll have to talk a little bit about what's going on in Kansas City.
I'll tell you, that was an awesome display of offense. Actually, by both teams. Let's not forget, Ben Roethlisberger put up some huge numbers too. But that was Kansas City's got weapons on top of weapons, and if they play anybody whose defense isn't up to par, they're going to get scores like this. They're going to be hard to stop. The kid Mahomes may not be. I'm not going to say he's the best quarterback in the league, or I'll say he's an up-and-comer. Okay, but his arm allows him to make every single throw. Talk about a cannon. Dude, that kid's arm is tremendous.
You know, it's funny, I was talking, I did a little bit of research, and I saw that he was in college. He had put up one game with over 700 yards and another game with over 600 yards, and I mentioned it to my son. And the funny part about it is he said, yeah, Dad, he said the Red Raiders or something. I guess that's
Texas Tech.
Texas Tech, okay? He said when they used to have NCAA football. I don't think NCAA is around anymore.
Like Madden.
Like Madden, but you can play with the college team.
Right.
And he's like, that was like
they have that game out anymore.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but he said that the Patrick Mahomes team was like a glitch team. Like when you played with them guys,
I'm not surprised.
you'd be killing. So you look at, I mean, these guys at over 2 games are average 40 points a game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
well. So look, let's look at this top 5 again. Okay. So the Rams are sitting at 5. Tremendous offensive output, especially last week. Cincinnati, big offensive output. The Ravens are still living off the Buffalo game. Tampa Bay, great offensive output against the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles and their supposed great defense that got 500 plus yards thrown up on them by Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, but we won't talk about that. And the Kansas City Chiefs, another tremendous offensive output. So the only team on here, again, that looks like they might be a pretender would be the Baltimore Ravens. But let's remember, in that Cincinnati game, they came from behind. They didn't win, but they made a tremendous comeback.
I look back at the Buffalo Ravens game.
Right.
And I looked at the Cincinnati game. And the similarities there is that the Ravens put up 28 points in the first half against Buffalo.
Yes.
A first-year starting quarterback, Buffalo Bills with their pretty new coach, right?
He's been, this is like his second
year, whatever. They were not prepared to really attempt the comeback. I mean, once that happened and they had to begin to rely on the passing game or whatever to try to get back into the game, it just really.
Shady's playing with a broken rib.
Well, now he is, yeah. But
right.
Then he was okay. But still in all, when somebody goes up 28, it takes away from your
that takes away from your running game. Right.
So you're not running.
Now, he is the type of back that you can use in your passing game, but they've got lackluster receivers.
So strategically, they were struggling. And they did put in the new starter in the second half of that first game.
Right.
So he finished the second half.
Yeah.
And pretty much, but then what happened is the Cincinnati Bengals did pretty much the same thing to the Ravens coming into their game. Cincinnati put up 26 points in the first half.
But the difference was Baltimore was able to come back.
Better team.
Baltimore was
experienced quarterback.
They were able to put
better team, and so they couldn't make up that big of a difference.
No.
Not even them. So, when you go up 28 on a team nowadays in the first half, it really throws things into a mess for that team that's down. And I don't know, I mean, you really got to just, who was it? It was the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs that were down. Was it 28 points, put in the second string quarterback, and he came back and brought them back to the historic. Way back in the day. Yeah, it doesn't happen too often. But Kansas City Chiefs with 80 points is definitely on top in terms of the points scored. Now, we're going to move next into, let's see if I can get this back the way I want it here, to take a look at the points against defense, because defense wins what?
Sometimes.
Come on, man. Defense. It's all about defense. Let's see here. Where are we with the share? Here we go. Let's go. Somehow I screwed that up, but here we go. So, the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are the team everyone talks about in terms of having the defense, are in fifth place. They've given up 35 points. Again, had a quality against a quality team when you're talking about the Patriots, and Giants. They put up oh, by the way, they put up some points, but I have a new nickname for Saquon.
But the gift wasn't good enough?
The gift is a great name, and he will always be the gift. But I want to call him Spinquine now.
Jesus.
The boy was spinning ungodly. It was kind of a shame because that was like all that was working for him, and he was just. But he made, I think they said he made like 60 to 70% of all of the first tacklers miss.
That is correct.
I mean, it was amazing, to see. I mean, he's on the sideline and he's spinning past people.
First guy's not going to stop him, and that makes him extremely dangerous.
The gift, yeah, no doubt about it. So number 5, Jacksonville Jaguars. Number 4, the Miami Dolphins, only giving up 32 points.
Yeah.
Well, we say only, but you figure that's 17 for the Jaguars, 16 for the 17.5, 16 for the Dolphins per game. Not too bad. The Dallas Cowboys coming in at third. I was a little surprised to see that. Giving up about 15 points per game, 29 total for the 2 games. The Redskins, they got two teams from the same division. Again, the Eagles are supposed team, of the future there, or Super Bowl contender as far as most teams when they were doing power ranking. But your Dallas Cowboys and your Redskins are in the top 5 in terms of giving up points. And we talked about the LA Rams and their corners,
how stacked they are on defense.
How stacked they are.
Right. So, again, it's early in the season. Some of these rankings, some of the teams that are high in the rankings have been beneficiaries of playing subpar teams, or at least teams that are playing subpar right now early on. Who played the Colts? The Redskins played the Colts last week. I don't know don't remember the score of that game, but I think it was tight. My thing is, it's still kind of early with the rankings. So we're actually able, because we're keeping track of everything, able to watch things develop and watch teams develop. And as you'll see, the cream will start to rise to the top because, again, the net points are made up of points for and points against. So the better teams are going to have better numbers on both sides, and that will all start to become clear as we move forward. And, of course, turnovers has lots.
Turnovers. You know, I took a quick look. We'll talk about the number one team in a minute in terms of turnover margin. But let's look at your Minnesota Vikings, who many people are putting up there with the Rams in terms of having some of the best, the best defense. Who are you picking on defense for your fantasy?
Oh, I have so many teams, man. It's very hard to. I'll tell you this.
I have a top three money team.
I have a team that has the Vikings on it and the Rams, but I'm going with the Vikings this week.
You have one team?
You can only play one defense at a time.
Oh, so you have, but you can pick two.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And you have the Vikings and the Rams.
Yes, but I'm going to start the Vikings this week.
Okay. Okay. It's all about those matchups with fantasy.
And if I had teams where I might have had the Chargers and somebody else, I went in and tried to scoop up either the Bears or the Cowboys this week. They both have good matchups against quarterbacks that are, as somebody called Russell Wilson, a sack magnet. Yeah. So the Cowboys are playing Seattle. And after that performance they put on the other night, I'm definitely going with the Cowboys defense against Seattle. But I digress. Let's go on with turnovers.
Turnovers. The LA Rams with turnover margin of 3. So again, when we talk about turnover margins, we're talking about giveaways minus takeaways.
Right.
So that's a net number again. Cincinnati Bengals with 3, and the Cleveland Browns leading the pack with turnovers at 6. And again, that defense is no joke. I mean, they gave the Steelers everything that they could handle.
Much improved talent-wise.
Yeah, I mean, if they ever get, they got a new kicker.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
They just got a new kicker.
Yeah, that other guy was. Where they got him from?
Well, he was the number 1 kicker in college. This guy was breaking records everywhere in college.
That never works out. That never works out. Who drafted the guy, the kicker from Florida State one year? It was a Hispanic guy. That guy couldn't hit the side of a barn. Everything was wide left or wide right. Everything. Aguayo, I think, was his name. And he was the number 1 kicker.
Number 1 kicker. Yeah.
It's horrible.
It's amazing.
Meanwhile, Janikowski's still around.
Yeah. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I have a note here. One of the things that happened, Seattle did a drop kickoff.
Yeah. You can do, look, I don't know who invented the drop kick. I don't know who was the first guy to do it. I know it was a long, long time ago, probably doing leather helmets and no face masks. But a drop kick is very difficult to do, and that's probably why they kept it legal and kept it in the rules. You can drop kick a kickoff. I believe you can drop kick. No, you can't drop kick a punt. But you can drop kick a kickoff, and you can drop kick a field goal.
What you call him did the field goal, right?
Doug Flutie did a field goal in the game.
Right.
And all it is like a punt, but the ball has to touch the ground first. So basically you drop it, and as soon as one point of the ball hits the ground, you kick the other end.
Okay. Now, what's going on in the kickoff world with the new kickoff rules? And again, if you go to Facebook page for Ben and Barry on football, there is a post there which has a really great graphic on the whole setup for the kickoff. As a matter of fact, there was at least one penalty where someone wasn't lined up correctly on a kickoff in this past weekend.
On the kicking team?
On the kicking team.
They were too far back?
They have to have somebody on so many people on one side,
so many on the other.
All that good stuff.
So that's to prevent the big pileups on onside kicks.
Well, you can't. You got the 15-yard no contact zone between the kickoff team and the receiving team now. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on with kickoffs.
Yeah,
again.
but that can't. Whoa, wait. You lost me. Sorry.
I lose him all the
15-yard
time.
no contact between the kickoff team and the receiving team.
Yeah, that there's a 15-yard space.
Yeah, that's so that the receiving team guys that are up front cannot attack the kicking team guys.
I'm not saying why it's
before
I'm
they
just
attempt
saying
to
that's
get
just
downfield.
that's
That's null and
just
void.
things.
That's null and void for an onside kick.
Oh, I'm going to talk about onside kicks.
But onside kicks happen. So
Okay.
that
But
rule
That
is specific.
that drop kick wasn't was that an onside kick? I don't think it was.
Actually, it was.
Was it?
Yes, he
Okay.
did try to drop kick
That
and
might have been.
onside kick.
The thing that I'm thinking about, though, what I was trying to say is you're watching a lot of NFL teams now try to kick the ball off and not have it go into the end zone. They
Right.
want to make these guys return because they really think
They
that
think they can stop
they can
before
stop
they
before
get to the 20 or the 25.
25.
Because
right.
if you kick it in the end zone, they automatically get
They
it
get
at
it
25,
easy
right?
25.
Okay. Here's the problem. If you kick it a little short and you don't kick it between the 5 and the goal line, the guy might run it to the 30 or you might break it.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
So it's
But that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing
they have
nowadays.
to. And it's because of the rules. And I think, it's just like anything else. You change rules, you come up with new rules, teams are going to adjust. And that's all they're doing is they're feeling their way through the adjustment period and trying to do whatever they feel is best for their team and their kickoff coach. So I think that's great.
But it's a new tactic though. It's
Absolutely.
a tactic that's a play off of these new rules and
Right.
the setup. So
Right.
things have changed a little bit relative to that. Let's move on to the matchups for the oncoming week. Yeah, we have some matchups. Let's start off with the Thursday night game. We've got the New York Jets Jets visiting the Cleveland Browns. The Jets are 1-1. The Cleveland Browns are 0-1. And as we look at the bias, and again, what the bias is when you have two teams who are playing each other, and they both have net point amounts. The bias is the difference that goes to the team with the better net point numbers. So, in this particular case, the Jets had 23 net points as of the end of the second game, and Cleveland Browns had -3. So that puts that actually, and I think I have that number wrong there. That should be 26, not 20. You can have a 20 written, but that should be 26. The difference there between -3 and plus 23 is 26.
So the bias is 26 in favor of the Jets.
In favor of the Jets. The Browns have a 4-point turnover bias in their favor. So that would make the bias plus, which is the net point bias plus the turnover bias. You put them both together, and that gives the Jets a bias plus of 19. So nobody's, again, it's the Browns defense that really is going to make a difference. And maybe this kicker, because let's face it, they left against the last, what did they just lose?
Cleveland?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, folks. It's hard to keep up with this stuff. New Orleans.
They left 8 points, kicking points. 2 field goals, 2 extra points.
Yeah.
Missed, and they lost by 3 points.
Right.
So if they get their kicking act together, because if one thing Tyrod Taylor can do, he can get you between the 20s. He can make those moves, and so you can't really blame them for what's going on with them and completion, because they got a lot of issues on offense.
Believe me, the Browns are still a work in progress. They're still a work in progress. They look much improved talent-wise, but you still got to put it all together. And it's early.
Especially on offense.
It's early. I tell you this, though. The Jets having a 26-point bias in their favor and then having it come down to a 19-point bias plus tells you a little something about the Cleveland defense. Okay? So head-to-head offense, defense only, we're talking about a 26-point bias in favor of the Jets. But when you throw the turnover margins in there, now it goes down to 19. So the Jets are still favored in the bias plus, but it's by 19, and Cleveland's at home. That should be a very intriguing.
It should. Oh, the I word.
The I word.
Intriguing.
Intriguing game.
That I wasn't expecting. Okay. And again, as I said, Cleveland. I'll just mention this. Let me throw a name out there: Jabril Peppers.
Right.
When you got that's talent right there. Returning kicks, that guy does it all.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's the kind of talent that they have sitting back there, and I know because when I play Madden and I toss that ball out there, he's coming down with it and intercepting my passes. So I'm like, who is that guy? Anyway, so here we go with the first game on our list for Sunday. We have the New Orleans Saints and the Atlanta Falcons. The net points is in Atlanta's favor. That's 6 net points. The turnover bias is in Atlanta's favor with 4 points. So the Atlanta's bias plus is 10 points in this game.
Okay. I got this one as another intriguing game, mainly because it's a division game. They're the two teams that I feel are the class of the division. No disrespect to Cam Newton, but Atlanta and New Orleans have been going at it for a long, long time.
That's division too, right?
Division, yes. Now,
always strange in the division.
The fact that Atlanta has the bias and they're the home team would probably sway most people toward Atlanta. I think New Orleans got off to a bit of a slow start, and they're going to start to pick it up. So this again will be an intriguing game to watch.
What the Saints group that needs to pick it up is the defense.
I understand that, but
they look like the Saints of old now.
Right? No, they don't look like the Saints of old. They're not that bad.
Oh, wait a minute!
Now, come on, man.
They gave up 66 points in 2 games. 66 points. That's 33 points a game.
Did they win one of those games?
Actually, they're 1-1.
They're 1-1.
Yeah, but they used to win games.
They got
back
off to a slow
day.
start.
Defensively,
I believe that their defense is far better. It will prove itself out in the rankings as we move along. Okay, I'm telling you, this is an intriguing game. This will not be a walk in the park for the Falcons. Their defense ain't so great either.
Well, well, the Falcons, let me see here. They gave up 42 points so far. They're ranked 12th. New Orleans is ranked 30th in terms of giving up points. So, yeah, if they're going to pull it together, they better start pulling it together soon because these numbers all count, toward the end result. San Fran is going to Kansas City. Somehow I want to sing that song, Kansas City.
Please don't.
No. You know something that's really funny? I took a course in studio engineering, and our final required us to record that song.
It was stuck in your head for like a year.
I gave up studio engineering. I was like, if I got to listen to this 100 times. I was young and impetuous at the time where I was like, this is great if you like the songs. You hate the music, but this could be a terrible, terrible job. But my Niners going up against that Kansas City offense, our net points are -5. Kansas City's net points is only 15, actually. Their defense is giving up a lot of points. They're scoring a ton of points, but defensively, there's nothing to get too excited about. So the Chiefs have a 20 net point bias of 20 points. They have a turnover bias of 3, so they're a 23-point bias plus team. It's going to take a serious effort, and something's going to have to happen big time. We still don't have Reuben Foster back yet. We still, we have a lot of new faces between people with the injuries and everything else. But we have some people that are starting to show up now, some new faces that are actually, Warner, I believe, is one of the guys at linebacker. So, and we have the #1 rusher in the league right now. It is what it is.
I tell you what, the guy had a great game. I believe he had one really long run.
Yeah.
Okay, so good for him. That didn't work.
I know.
And I don't know. I as far as this game is concerned, and I'm not going to say Kansas City's going to win in a walk, but I don't think San Francisco has enough firepower on offense to match point for point. And that's the only way you're going to beat them.
You got to. I can't say it's a lot of time. We don't have that level of talent.
That's the only way you're going to beat them. You got to match scores with them. It's going to be tough.
And Marquise, is he?
I believe he's back this week.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure.
That makes a big difference. I mean, Marquise, again, he's the field stretcher. You know, Dante Pettis can help with that also. He's not bad in terms of that. He's not as fast.
I'll tell you the guy on your team that's not pulling his weight is Pierre Garçon.
Well.
And Alfred Morris isn't pulling his weight either, although I think Alfred Morris will get better. I don't know about Garçon. I think Garçon's days are getting numbered.
When I play with the Niners, and Garçon is generally my third or fourth receiver.
Yeah,
so
he's you know how some guys age gracefully and some guys fall off a cliff. I got a feeling.
I don't think he's off the cliff yet.
I think he's hanging on.
I think he's still there for possession down. I think he still will catch the ball in possession situations.
I'm going to be looking for him.
Take a look at him.
I'm going to be looking for him.
Buffalo going to Minnesota, two cold places coming together, but Buffalo's 0-2. Minnesota's 1-0-1. Buffalo is minus 55 net points for a good 32nd place out of 32 places. Your Minnesota Vikings are in ninth place with 8 net points. So they're not exactly running it up so far in net points. Their points for, they're 11th with 53, and points against, they're 17th with 45 points given up. So the Vikings, however, have a net point bias of 63 points, a turnover bias of 5. They have the largest bias of the weekend at the bias plus of 60.
And they will have the biggest win of the weekend. Nothing to see here, folks.
Unless this new quarterback in Buffalo comes out.
Stop.
Any given Sunday. Am I correct?
Wait. Oh, last week we were talking about the Buffalo quarterback. And I think I was calling him Josh. Well, I'm mixing my Joshes up. One's with the Cardinals and one's with the Rosen is with the Cardinals and Josh Allen is with the. Do I have it right?
I think you have it right.
No, you don't know either.
I think you have it. You're the fantasy guy. You should.
Dude, I wouldn't have either one of them guys on my team. Come on, dude.
But hey, look, I depend on you to know the players' names because you have to pick them.
All right,
I know the teams.
I'll have to be full with them.
Yes. So here's my intriguing game. Indianapolis coming in at 1-1. Philadelphia is 1-1. Indianapolis is going to visit the Eagles. Carson Wentz is back, which is why I'm saying it's intriguing. So we'll get to see. He hasn't played any football in a long time, and but he's biting at the chomp to get there. The Colts are ranked 17th for net points. They have a net point of +1. Philly is 18th with a net point of 0. So they're broke even there. And points for, Colts have put up 44, ranking 18th, and against, Colts have given up 43, which ranks them at 15th. The Eagles are ranking 24th in scoring with 39 points, but they are 8th in defense with 39 points against, even with that spanking that they took from the Buccaneers.
So all that being said, the Colts are coming to town with a 1-point bias on their side.
1-point bias plus. It's tied. Well,
the Indianapolis Colts
1 point
are
net
coming
point
to
bias
Philadelphia
tie
to the mighty Philadelphia Eagles, Lincoln Memorial Stadium, or whatever the heck the name of that place is.
Lincoln Financial.
Lincoln Financial, the home of the Super Bowl champions, world champion Philadelphia Eagles, the lowly Indian. Stop.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really coming out. Your giant hatred is pouring out of your pores here.
By the way, Josh Allen plays for the Buffalo Bills. So that means that Josh Rosen is now the quarterback taking over for Sammy Sleeves with the Arizona Cardinals. So I'm glad we're done with that. All right, what's next?
Sammy Sleeves, he's calling. Green Bay and the Redskins.
Ooh.
Green Bay's 1-0-1. The Redskins are 1-1.
I didn't mark this as intriguing, but I probably should have.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, it's Washington. Washington with a 5 net point bias and a 2 point turnover bias, which gives them 7 points. And you told me that Aaron Rodgers has a deep bruise.
He has a deep bone bruise in his knee, which will not allow him to do as much running around and scrambling. Now, he can still run. He can still scramble, but he won't be doing it as much as he normally would. However, he's going to tough it out. He'll probably be questionable week after week after week, and he'll still play week after week after week. But he'll carry the questionable designation through the week.
You know what this reminded me of? When he came back and he played so well after he got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
It reminded me of Donovan McNabb. Remember when Donovan...
He played on a broken leg.
Yeah, but he played best. He played really good.
He actually played better. And that's a very good point, because the limitations that are forced on you kind of cause you... It's like if you lose one of your senses, your other senses are heightened.
Okay.
Is that a good analogy?
Well, I understand what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I've heard that. But you know, it's funny because if you know you can't run around, you use that pocket the way it's supposed to be used.
Exactly.
And and Aaron's arm is so great that, I mean, it's just a matter of, he doesn't. He actually can probably throw as powerfully as most guys, even on a hurt leg.
Yeah,
because his delivery is like a dart. I mean, he just comes out, So.
What makes him so great is he's great at all phases of the game. He's great in the pocket. He's great outside of the pocket. He's great moving in the pocket. He's great scrambling. He's great running downfield. So you take one of them away, he's still great.
He's still great, yeah, no doubt about it, AR. So, but Washington and Green Bay is visiting. Washington's home. So they're home. They have a 7 point bias plus. And as long as Aaron's in the game, it could still be a game. But if Aaron goes out the game, things kind of go completely awry.
I believe Green Bay is another team that I'm saying is getting off to a little bit of a rocky start. And that we'll see a lot of improvement the next couple of weeks with them.
What do you think about Washington so far, though?
Well, I think they're loving Alex Smith right now. I think he's loving them too, but they ran into some problems last week. I'm not exactly sure because I'm a red zone guy, so I don't always watch whole games, and I didn't get a chance yet this week to watch the replays of the games. Indianapolis did something that threw them off because they looked like a real good dink, dunk, West Coast, everything in rhythm offense with Alex Smith there. And I'm thinking this is going to be very successful for them. The Colts did something to throw that off. I don't know what it was, but they did something. So that being said, where did they play this week? Lincoln Financial?
And again, the Redskins are dealing with the loss of their number 1 draft pick, Darius Geis, out for the season.
Yeah, but I tell you what, the kid Thompson's been playing pretty well.
Okay, there you go. Cincinnati, Carolina. Anything intriguing about this as far as you're concerned?
This is one of them which one's really for real type games.
Well, Cincinnati's coming in at 2-0. Carolina's 1-1. Cincinnati's ranked 4th in net points with plus 22. Carolina is ranked 16th. They've got 1 plus 1 in the net point category. So
they're just hanging on.
Cincinnati in points for is 4th. We saw them in the top 5 with 68 points put up. Carolina's 23rd. They've put up 40 points. Mm-hmm. Cincinnati in points against is 18th. They've given up 46. Carolina is 9th. They've given up 39. So they're a little bit better on showing on defense. And in the turnover margin, Cincinnati's +3 and Carolina's broke even at 0. So in this particular game, as we look across the board, Cincinnati has a 21 net point bias. They have a 3 point turnover bias, which gives them a 24-point bias plus going into this game.
Looks like a tough game for Carolina at home.
Tough game for Carolina.
Looks like a tough game for Carolina at home. Only thing I'll say about Cincinnati, they're missing Joe Mixon. I think he had to get a little procedure done on his knee. I don't quite believe in Giovanni Bernard yet, but their passing game looks like it's tight right now.
Green.
It's Green. AJ Green's on fire. Dalton seems to have his stuff together. We've seen that before. Okay. But as of right now, I think Cam's going to have to come with his A game to keep up here. If Cincinnati jumps out on them like they jumped out on Baltimore, it's going to be a lot of booing down in Carolina.
The Tennessee Titans are visiting the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Tennessee Titans are 1-1. Jacksonville is 2-0. Tennessee's ranked 22nd in net points with -4. They're also ranked 22nd in points for with 40 points scored.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I know. And 16th in points against with 44 points given up, and 14th in turnovers with 0. Jacksonville.
Wait, Tennessee is their turnover margin is 0?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Jacksonville and points for. They have put up. They're ranked 12th with 51 points scored so far. Jacksonville is 5th in points against. We saw that they're in the top 5. They've only given up 35 points, and 19th, and again 0 in the net turnover margin.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So Jaguars come out at the bias plus with 20 points in their favor.
Yeah, I don't think Tennessee can put up much of a fight. Mariota was hurt. Guess who their backup quarterback is? Your boy, Blaine Gabbert.
Blaine. You'll be saying yourself. You'll be saying yourself. Blaine.
He played pretty well last week. He didn't stink it up. They don't have a chance.
So here we got 2 teams that we had some that we weren't quite sure about them, and I know with Case Keenum at quarterback, you've been questioning Denver. They are 2-0. Case.
Wait. Why do you keep doing this, man? You keep making it to Case Keenum is your boy. You're the one who said Minnesota should have kept him.
Yeah.
Okay. I said he's going to do well with Denver. I thought he was a good fit.
Okay.
So I'm not questioning Denver.
Okay.
I think he's going to. Okay. I'm going to keep you straight on. I'm not just going to let you.
But you know, I have to give it to him. He's faced adversity in these games.
Absolutely.
And had to come back.
Yes, he has.
To win.
Yes, sir.
I mean, he's so he hasn't exactly been dominant.
No.
But he's been winning, and that's the bottom line here. Ranked 12th in net points with +4. Baltimore's coming in at 2nd in net points with +33. And again, the question is with Baltimore's quality because they ran it up on Buffalo. In terms of points for, Denver is 14th with 47 points and 14th in points against with 43 points and 21st, in turnover margin with -1. The Ravens, again, they put up a lot of points, so they're 3rd in scoring with 70 points scored, 6 on defense. And again, even on defense, they're going to look good because Buffalo only put up 3 points,
right?
With 37 points scored, but they're 28th in turnovers with -2. So put that all together, it still adds up to the Ravens. Wait a minute. Yeah, to the Ravens.
28 points
in terms of the points,
but
relative to the quality of the points, this is the one that I guess if I were questioning. Again, and I don't say that, the net points are predictive. I just say they're a measure of dominance. So who's been dominant in the game so far. Obviously, the Ravens were dominant, especially against Buffalo. But they're playing a good Denver team with a good rush, good defense, and a quarterback who looks like he can compete at the very least. So I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at this serious Ravens bias plus, and I'm questioning, and I'm really thinking Denver here.
What? You're making a prediction?
I don't make predictions, but I
You're
just have
leaning.
this
You're
feeling.
leaning toward Denver.
I'm leaning toward Denver.
You're going
in this
against
game.
the bias.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you this. I agree with you, and I have a couple of reasons, but to keep it brief, I'll give you one. The offensive performance that Cincinnati hit Baltimore with early on showed me a lot of holes in their secondary. Now you're coming in here with Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders, even the young boy, Cortland Sutton. Okay. Could be the same thing.
Could be the same
Could be
thing.
the same thing.
Yeah. So I expect that the Ravens are going to trend downward relative to net points.
Yeah.
As it moves forward in the season. The New York Football Giants, your team, is going into Houston. Both teams are 0-2. Both teams are close relative to net points, with Giants being 28th with -12 and Houston being 27th with -10.
Where are the Texans ranked defensively?
Well, we're going to get to that in a minute. Let's go to points for the Giants. They're 30th with 28 points scored and 10th with 40 points given up, 26 in turnovers with -2. Houston, 26 in scoring with 37 points scored and 19. I mean, this is Houston. The defense, they've given up 47 points. They're 20th in turnover margin.
So they're ranked 19th in points against, and the Giants are ranked where?
The Giants are ranked 28th
in points against.
I'm sorry. Hold up.
Mm-mm.
No, I'm wrong.
Mm-mm.
10th. I was looking at the wrong column. Yeah. Look at that.
Okay.
Look at that. 10th.
We got a little teeny weeny.
They're
plus,
ranked higher than the Houston.
But we have a little tiny 2-point bias, 4-point bias plus. I think the Giants are going to get their first win on the road against Houston.
Okay. So you're saying that Deshaun's going to go 0-3?
I'm saying Deshaun's not Deshaun yet.
Uh-oh.
I love him, but he ain't Deshaun yet.
What's the big difference?
It's early.
Okay.
I mean, when you got a guy like Hopkins, and now Will Fuller is actually stepping up, playing really well. Those are two excellent pass catchers and route runners. You put them together with Deshaun, you would think that they would have won a game by now. Their running game does not stink. Lamar Miller's pretty good. His stats are a little above average. So to me, I'm thinking that there's something not quite right with the defense. Again, I'm a red zone guy. I don't look at every stat and I don't watch every game completely, but that's my speculation. And of course, we know that the Giants' strength is their offensive skill positions. It's just a matter if they can block well enough in the run game and in the pass game.
Let me tell you.
But
if you're looking at J.J. Watt coming off that end,
that's one guy though. I can't let
Khalil Mack was one guy, and he
No,
made
but
a tremendous
But he made
difference.
everybody else better.
But that's the thing.
There was three more guys right on his heels when he got back there. If one guy's getting there by himself, he might be able to work with that.
What's
Clowney's playing. I ain't
So
heard
you got two
I haven't seen no highlights.
top-notch guys. So we'll see.
We'll see.
We shall see if they can keep Eli upright, and if Eli can make his
he got sacked 6 times. Man.
He's got to get rid of that ball quicker, and they've got to do some things to help him out a little bit, including running the ball with Gift, Saquon, Spinquan. The LA Chargers and the LA Rams. LA versus LA.
The Battle of LA.
Chargers are 1-1. Rams are 2-0. In terms of net points, the Chargers are 14th. They have +1 net point. The Rams are first with +54 net points. I can go through the rest of them, but the bottom line here is that the Rams have a 53 net point bias and a 3-point turnover bias in their favor. They have a 56-point bias plus going into their favor.
That's a big bias. I'm going to scan my chart here and find something that tells me the Chargers have a chance to win this game. It's just going to take me a second. You can entertain the fans.
Well, the Chargers are 25th in points against. They've given up 58 points. They are 8th in scoring.
Yes, they are.
The Rams are 5th in scoring, so they're not far off. The Rams put up 67. The Chargers have put up 59. So
the problem is the Rams are first in points against. Sorry, Chargers.
It's not going to happen.
Not going to happen. It might be a better game. It might be a better game than it looks when you just look at the bias. Just because Phillip Rivers is like really trying to get a little last hurrah here. Melvin Gordon's dinged up too. From the fantasy people out there, you better check up on him if you got him on your team. I don't think it's bad, but he is not 100%.
Chicago, Arizona. Can we just say the Bears?
The Bears.
The Bears. The Bears have a 60-point bias plus favor going with them there.
Whoa, 60?
60.
You can stop there, dude. You can stop right there.
But again, Arizona in a division game. I mean, the Rams, pretty much ran roughshod over those guys, and they're almost like Buffalo. I don't know if any team that plays the Cardinals this year is going to have a bump in their net points.
They will.
Well, they've got to do Josh now. They're joshing everybody. Don't think that's going to make
when you draft a quarterback high, and we had the whole discussion as to what's the team's mindset when they draft a quarterback high. Are they getting him because they think he's ready to take over the first year if it's necessary? But ideally, they'd like him to sit behind a veteran and all that rigmarole. Okay, they got way too many problems for him to help him. Sam Darnold, the Jets aren't in that bad a shape. And Sam Darnold, as far as I'm concerned, has proven that he's the best rookie quarterback of the crop, with probably Baker Mayfield coming in a close second, although we haven't seen him in a real game yet. Well, not really. Josh Rosen cannot fix what ails the Cardinals. They got too many holes. Too many.
Dallas, Seattle. Now, Seattle's my sleeper team. They're going to start getting people back who are out injured shortly. And again, to put everything in perspective, we do call first quarter of the NFL season the second preseason. So as you say, you've been saying all day.
You're making excuses for a team that's in the 49ers division. Shame on you.
Well, I'm not. It ain't going to do it. They're in our division. They are who they are. They got issues, but they still have the magic man at quarterback. They're getting some people back. They'll be coming back off of injuries on defense, and again, being in this a lot of teams are still trying to figure themselves out. You're talking about the same scenario with Dallas. Dallas is 1-1. Seattle's 0-2. Dallas is 19th in net points with -1. Seattle is 26th with -10. Seattle is 29th in points for. Dallas is 29th. They put up 28 points. Seattle in points for is 21st. They've put up 41 points. So they've actually outscored Dallas in terms of points. However, Dallas is third in defense. They've only given up 29th. And Seattle in terms of defense. They're 22nd. They've given up 51.
Dallas is third in points against, and Seattle is 20-something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's now the Legion of Boom, no doubt about it. But some of those guys are coming back.
So let's say DeMarcus Lawrence is like a fly, and Russell Wilson is like a pile of horse manure. Okay, just picture that. That's the way this game's gonna be.
Like a fly on.
Right.
Okay. All right. Cowboys have a bias plus of 10 points. That ain't big.
No, it isn't.
And the
That's only because
Cowboys
they
are
haven't been
going
scoring a lot of
into
points.
Seattle, where they do have the 12th man.
Yes, they do.
And that 12th man helps out. That noise can throw a team off. Now, it's not like Dallas has never been there before, but Dallas has all new receivers, and those guys haven't really had to deal with that type of noise. Yeah, Dallas.
Tavon Austin.
Well, he's new to the Dallas. You know, who else on Dallas? They're all new guys. On his face, they got
Terrence No Hands Williams and Cole Beasley.
Okay, so
I'm missing somebody.
Yeah, there's somebody else there. All right, so they aren't all new guys.
I mean, it's not like I'm a Dallas fan.
It's not like they're rookies or anything like that.
But I was extremely impressed with their pass rush, albeit they were sacking Eli, who's not the most mobile guy, and Russell Wilson is far more mobile than Eli. But he couldn't get away from the Bears rush, so he ain't going to get away from the Cowboys rush. 0-3.
0-3, okay. Patriots. Speaking of, 1-1 versus 0-2 Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions are 30th in net points. They're minus 34. They're 19th in points for with 44 points. They're 32nd. Defensively, they've given up the most points in the league at 78, the Lions.
Okay.
And they're minus 4 in turnover margin. So you're up against the New England Patriots, who are 21st in net points. They're minus 4. Okay, they haven't been killing.
We've seen them be low like this before and then come flying up the charts.
Flying up the charts. So. They're 15th in scoring, 47 points scored, 20th in and points against. They've given up 50th. Yeah, 20th. So as of right now, the Patriots are coming in with a 30 net point bias, 4-point turnover bias, which gives them a bias plus of 34 points. So don't expect any serious drama there relative to the win, but they are going into Detroit. Detroit is home.
You don't think there'll be any drama there? It's not a trick question. It's not a trick question.
Well, when I say drama, I expect that the Patriots are going to win. Maybe not.
Oh, okay.
You know,
that's you know what I see? I see a battle. I see a scoring battle.
You see a scoring battle.
I see a scoring battle.
34 point bias plus is pretty healthy.
You got 2 shaky secondaries and 2 gunslinging quarterbacks. I see him lighting the scoreboard up.
Well, you know, they lost to my Niners. Our defense has a lot of questions right now.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of new people, and they lost again. So if they
can't stop a soul, the Lions can't stop nobody.
Okay, so there you go. So if they can't stop anybody,
but they do receive
kickoffs, they put up the points. You really think that the Patriots defense is that porous?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Marvin Jones Jr., Golden Tate, Kenny Galloway, Stafford throwing the ball, dumping it to Theo Riddick. They got a lot of weapons on offense. They can't stop anybody. But the New England defense is not very stout. The pass rush isn't that tough, and their secondary is hard. Who was the dude he used to – Eric Rowe? Couldn't play in the PTTFL. No disrespect to the PTTFL. Y'all know I love y'all. That guy's bad.
Okay. All right. Looking for a shootout, according to Ben Dickerson here. Monday Night Football. We've got the Steelers.
This is going to be a game.
Going into Tampa Bay. First of all, is Le'Veon going to show?
Who cares?
Okay.
I ain't got time for millionaires crying over more millions.
What about a Brown? Wide receiver.
Oh yeah, he's back. He was back in. He came to meetings,
so he'll be there. Okay,
yeah, he showed up.
So
tantrum.
The Steelers are 0-1-1. Tampa Bay is 2-0. Steelers are 25th in net points with -5. 9th in points scored with 58. So they have put up some points in the top 10. 28th defensively. Pittsburgh has given up 63 points. And probably most of those points have Patrick Mahomes' name on them. 32nd in turnover margin with -4. And you can thank your Cleveland Browns defense for that bad turnover margin. Tampa Bay is coming in at 2-0. They're 8th in net points with 14, plus 14. They're 2nd in scoring with 75. However, they're 27th in defense. They've given up 61 points. So they're right down there, one step above the Steelers, who are 28th, and gave up 63 points, and they are +2 in the turnover margin, the Tampa Bay.
So they got the bias and the bias plus.
You have the bias and the bias plus, adding up to 15 points in the bias
right.
plus.
So for their bias to go from 9 to a bias plus of 15 means they're ruling in the turnover battle also. Both teams have proven they can put up points. Both teams have also proven that their defenses are shaky at times.
The only thing about the turnover bias here is, again, that Cleveland defense is the #1 team in turnover margin. So
you're saying that messed Pittsburgh up?
Yeah, that really throws Pittsburgh turnover margin out. They were down 5 first game of the season.
Oh, take that.
So they might not be that bad in terms of turnovers, in terms of turnover margin. You think, is this an intriguing game for you?
Yeah, this is an intriguing game. We know what the Steelers' offense is. We know who Ben Roethlisberger is. He showed that he can keep a team in it regardless of what's going on when they played Kansas City last week in that high-scoring battle. We kind of know who Fitzpatrick is. If you're a football fan and you've followed him from team to team, you've seen the Fitz magic before. Sometimes it runs out. Sometimes whoever he's backing up just comes back and he has to fade back into the shadows. I'm not going to say this is going to be a real test for him because I really don't respect the Steelers' secondary. I really don't. I think he's going to torch them boys. But the Bucs secondary ain't nothing to write home about either. So this may come down. You know what it's going to come down to? This is going to come down to the team that has the better running game, which is, in fact, Pittsburgh. So bias be damned. And I love the Bucs. I love what they're doing. Sorry, Skip.
Going against the bias, going with Pittsburgh again. Since Ryan Shazier has been out, the Pittsburgh Steelers defense has not been the same. It's not. So that man made a big difference. That Mike linebacker, that linebacker who's really the guy who's coordinating everything, he's like the quarterback. And when they're not there, things just don't work as well. He's the recognition of what the offense is doing, the quick adjustments aren't happening quick enough, and we see that. You've seen it with Carolina.
Jordan Hicks, the Luke Kuechly,
right?
The Sean Lee. Every good defense has one.
One. Yeah. And so you're going against the bias, and I'm not going to predict anything. However, Fitzpatrick's outfit after the game. I just
can't wait to see
I
what
love to
that's
see
going to be.
the next iteration.
He looked like Conor McGregor. He could have been his freaking twin, except his beard's a little fuller. That's the only thing. The red hair and the chains, dead ring.
He got the call from Deion. And Deion said, he said, hey, the beard scares him. He pushed the beard up to the camera, and Deion's like, no! Thing's got fleas in it. Get it away. Get it away. So that wraps up the matchups for week 3.
Cool. What else we got?
What else we got, Benny? Well, let me tell you. First of all, let's talk just quickly about your fantasy. How are you doing in fantasy so far?
Let me see.
Football.
My main fantasy football league, I am 1-1. I got taken out this past weekend by on Monday Night Football. Who played Monday night? Jeez. And you guys gotta bear with me. I have so many fantasy teams and I have so many different players on different teams that sometimes it's hard for me to keep track of the players that I have. However, whoever played Monday night had two. The guy I was playing against had 2 people going in that game, so I went into the game with the lead. It was the Seahawks. He had Russell Wilson, and he had Tyler Lockett.
That was a Monday night with the Bears, right?
And he had Tyler Lockett, and they wasn't doing nothing, and I was holding on to a lead. And late in the 3rd quarter, early 4th quarter, whenever the hell it was, he threw a touchdown to Lockett. That's 12 points right off the bat. Bang, bang.
Oh, yeah, that one.
6 for the QB, 6 for the receiver. Killed me. I think I had like an 11-point lead, 10-point lead, something like that. I was like, I can go to bed now. I ain't got to watch this.
Yeah.
You know. But I kind of like where I'm at there. My 2 Yahoo leagues, one of them is with some veteran PTTFL players that no longer play in the league, and the other one is with current PTTFL players. And I'm 2-0 on both of those.
Okay. Beating up the veterans and the young boys. Well, I went online. I did get a game in.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, somewhere on one of these papers, I wrote down my rankings, and I don't see it. But I was ranked around 2,000. Was it on the back of yours? So I was ranked about 2,000. I go and I play this guy he's playing with the Saints.
Right.
And turnovers. I threw 2, 3 interceptions. I had 168
You are playing
yards.
with the Niners, right?
Yeah. I had 168 yards rushing. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I went from 22-21. I lost the game. I went to 22-20.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay.
One point
they
move.
take scores and stuff into consideration when they move you in the rankings? How well you play, how poorly
Literally,
you play?
I went online to try to figure out how they do the rankings.
Okay.
And apparently a lot of people are asking the same question and don't have a real answer. And so I have to think maybe it's the quality of the 2 teams that might come into play. You're talking about the Niners playing the Saints.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
And, the guy was pretty good, but he ran back a kickoff. I don't normally get kickoffs returned for touchdowns on me. That was a big one. And then late in the game when I was under pressure, just like Buffalo, I'm throwing interceptions, And
is there some list somewhere?
There is a ranking list, but there's so many different types of, like you've got your MUT lists, with the ultimate team.
Yeah.
You got all of that. But we play with whatever the team is and whatever the current
right.
depth
So
chart
you should have
is.
your own list.
Yeah.
If you can get your hands on that list.
When you say my own list, what do you mean?
The people in your league and the people in
That's
the
not a league.
leagues.
I'm just playing
Okay.
pickup games.
All the people out there that are playing.
Right. So like when I went online,
and using the same rules and everything that you use. If you have a number, they have numbers.
yeah, but there was 14,000 people playing when I went online. There were only maybe a handful, like 15, 20 people looking for games.
Okay. My point is, somebody's number 1.
Yeah. Somebody, and I'll
That's
look
why I
into
asked
this
where's
more.
the list.
There's probably a kid that's 5 years old that can answer this somewhere who's been playing all the time.
That's what I'm talking
But
about.
as I said, I'm doing this because I had not been playing online.
Right.
So I'm gaining my experience. I'm
Right.
back online. I'm learning a little bit more. I was thinking about even just doing a season game because it would be a little easier for me to track my progress and say what my record is, and I could even do my own net points and all of that, which statistically I can still do, you know, in the online thing. But there's also apparently something that affects you relative to the number of, like, people play the most games. Apparently, their ranking moves up. So if you're playing a lot,
of
online,
course,
that's another thing.
Even
if you're losing, though. I mean, there's been, again, you go online and try to look it up. It just, I was not an easy answer to find. So I'm going to look that up a little bit more. I got to stop hitting the camera table here. But in any event, long story short, I moved down 1 point. And I took an L to the Saints, and I really have to do a better job of executing. And I have to find my, you know, again, when you're playing, the thing about playing the computer is that the computer after a while becomes somewhat predictable.
Right.
And people are much less predictable.
Right.
And they got tricks. This guy had a few tricks. I mean, you know, where, you know, he's running to the right, throws the ball all the way left, and somebody's actually over there wide open. Right. That happens every once in a while in real life, but doesn't happen as much in terms of when you play the game, because they don't throw against their body cross field. You know, the game doesn't do that, but people do. So we shall see how I make that move in the week coming up. But I only moved down 1 point. There are a few points of discussion that we can talk about as we begin to close out, and then if you have any rants, we'll do the rant. So let's just go down. The egregious roughing call, Green Bay versus Minnesota. You saw the tackle.
Yes.
I saw the tackle. I saw nothing wrong with the tackle.
Yeah.
As far as I was concerned, that closed the game out.
Right.
It was a done deal. And next thing you know, and we had talked about before, and I mentioned that these new rules, I think, are going to have an impact on net points. You know, there's going to be more scoring. If you can't touch the receivers, if you can't hardly touch the quarterback, I mean, you're moving toward flag football. You're moving toward, you know, it's much less of a rough game. And so there should be more points scored. You know, it's almost like in basketball. You know, then, you know, all of a sudden scores are starting to trend higher and everything. So I just thought that was a terrible call, and apparently the NFL is going to use that as a teaching moment.
There were so many complaints. This is the way I heard it. There were so many complaints on Twitter from fans and players that the NFL took notice, but instead of saying, you know what, we're going to look at it some more and we'll get back to you, or we're going to talk to the refs because it was really close, maybe we made a mistake. They doubled down and said not only was it the right call, but they're going to use that particular play as a learning tool. They're going to make an instructional video, and that play is going to be part of the instructional video. Then, as I'm watching the play, I'm listening to the commentator on television read the rule. And he's reading the rule, and I'm watching the play, and nothing that he's reading is happening. How can they say, I don't get it, man.
And everyone's trying to point out the irony that the rule was kind of put in place because of the injury to Aaron Rodgers. So for it to work against the Packers the way it did, there's some level of irony there. But
well, the whole below the knees thing, that's the Brady rule.
That's the Brady rule. But falling on the quarterback,
right, because he got his shoulder crunched.
Yeah, that's that rule. Yeah. So I mean, you know, it's funny. If you're a Patrick Mahomes, this is a beautiful time to come to the NFL. You know what I mean? You can sit back there and really.
You know what this may evolve into? And you probably haven't heard this call in who knows how long. When's the last time you had a ref blow the whistle and say in the grasp? You're going to start to see more in the grass, hopefully, because guys are going to be afraid that if they're able to get to the quarterback and wrap him, they won't know what to do with him. You can't pick him up. You can't force your body on and land on him. You can't fling him. What are you going to do with him?
Well, let me tell you, they asked that question, the Denver Broncos, who's their all-star?
Von Miller.
Von Miller says, I just go for the ball. I just go for the ball. Yeah. Forget the body. Let's just go for the ball, and then you don't have all of those problems. Yeah. So that might be what you.
So you'll see a lot more stripping.
Yeah.
And guys getting their elbows twisted around, and their shoulders yanked out of socket, and then they'll say, "You can't strip the ball from the quarterback anymore." Stop.
Another point I want to just bring up real quick. I want to congratulate Frank Gore moving into 4th on the all-time rushing list. Former Niner, baby. And you know what I always say, you can't talk football without talking about some particular point. So congratulations to Frank Gore. This is a question, Ben. A lot of jet sweeps, a lot of little cute quarterback pitches into the middle of the line. The Bears had one with the tight end, the same tight end that came from the Eagles that threw the Philly special touchdown, whatever, I can't think of it. Trey Burton. A lot of fine-tuned looking offensive maneuvers. Is that fine-tuning going to be able to carry into the bad weather? Or is it going to get back to more fundamental, my man can push your man, and we can move the ball because power rules in bad weather?
Well, when we say bad weather, we're talking about mostly bad field conditions, correct? We're not talking about cold.
I'm talking about cold. Because when your fingers and everything is all of that stuff, is all of that. Because let's face it, teams can rack up passing yardage in all of this beautiful weather. But it's going to come back down to the running game as it gets colder, as it gets wetter, as it gets snowier, and as the field conditions, begin to mitigate some of the speed advantage that teams like Kansas City has.
That's the big thing. The big thing is going to be field conditions, and most of these stadiums have artificial turf. The stadiums that have grass fields that are in areas of the country where they're going to start to get snow and rain and on top of the cold, that's where it's going to get a little dicey. Because most of this stuff is what I like to call trickeration. It's sleight of hand. It's quick. I'm looking that way, I'm going that way. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. Field conditions have a lot to do with that. I don't know. Obviously, when it's cold, your hand's going to be cold. Okay. These guys.
Kansas City gets cold, too.
They practice every day. I mean, they can do these pitches and jet sweeps in their sleep.
We shall see.
This is what they do, man.
We shall see.
Dude, we've been playing football for how many years now?
Think about this. And I wondered about this. We talked about last year, Kansas City started off similar, very hot.
Yes, they did.
And then cooled off.
And it had nothing to do with the weather.
The weather changed because they were hot for about 5 or 6 games. So you figure they were going into late October when things stopped working as well.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't say it didn't have anything to do with the weather. It does have to do with the weather. But to me, in my estimation, from my years of watching college and professional football and being up Simons, okay, the field conditions, the condition of the field is more important to what a team can or can't do, or if a team is limited in some of the things that they do well, the field conditions is the most important thing. Rain affects everybody the same. Cold affects everybody the same. But a fast team on a bad field isn't as fast.
When Christopher, my youngest son, in the championship game, went out to the Rowden suburban area and the championship team.
This when he was on the Wildcats?
When he was on the Wildcats, 65 pounds. They had two really. Chris was fast. Chris has a gold medal in the junior Olympic 4x100, and his anchor was his other back. They also a gold. And when we got there, it hadn't rained for 2 or 3 days, and the field was soaked. It's so bad that they had straw. They put straw out on the field because I believe they soaked that field down in an effort to slow these guys down.
Because they knew they were coming.
They knew they were coming, and so that's the effect that it has on speed, and people understand it. And then the other thing is, Chicago is the windy city, right? Kansas City is an open air field too. So
Kansas City gets bad weather.
That weather gets cold, it gets windy, and so the question is, with these very precise offenses, are they going to be able to operate as precisely as we move into?
Kansas City has artificial turf, and the quarterback has a cannon for an arm. They'll be fine.
All right, they'll be fine.
But yes, you do need a running game.
There's been a lot of discussions, Ben, and we'll just move on to another topic real quick about the teams that are struggling versus the teams that are doing well, and the impact of these quarterback salaries in the era of the salary cap, and how much this is affecting the ability of teams to field a good overall team when they've paid ultra money to their quarterback. Right. So we're going to take another look at this next week. I just want to bring it up for people to just kind of begin to think about.
Yeah, think about that. I'm going to think about it. And I'm going to take a look at it.
Because that I believe is in play all the way around. The Hall of Famers. Let's talk about the Hall of Famers who are demanding an annual salary and health benefits, but they're not going to show up next year at the Hall of Fame ceremony.
T.O. is home somewhere cracking up. He's rolling. He's like, I'll be there for that. I'm showing up next year. Yo, I didn't really know what it was. I just saw something on the ticker while I was watching TV this morning about Hall of Famers possibly protest. I'm like, protesting what? What happened?
So I thought they were going to protest Kaepernick. They're like, give me salary and
so are they demanding an annual salary and health benefits for all retired players?
They're talking about Hall of Famers right now. But they're saying how they want to be able to expand. They want to be able to expand. Let me ask you this quick question, because you're more of a baseball person than I am. I heard somewhere that in the MLB, if you play one game, you have health benefits for life. Is that true?
I don't know if that's 100% true, but I know their benefits package is way better than the NFL. They're covered. It might be one game, or it might be one season. But you got to be in the majors.
Right. I'm talking about
and I know it's connected. There's another rule that says something. There's another rule in place that has something to do with money that sometimes has teams keep guys that are ready to be called up from the minors. They leave them in the minors for a certain amount of time till some other rule kicks in before they bring them up, even though they're ready. And it has something to do with money. And I hate to fumble around with stuff and not have facts.
We can talk. I didn't give you this ahead of time. We didn't prepare at all for it. But when I heard that, I was like, wow, But yeah, with the Hall of Famers, they want to be paid. They want an annual salary and they want help benefits.
If they're doing this because they feel like they have a platform, and if they can get it started to trickle down to all retired players, then I think it's a good idea. I can't see them doing this, to me, selfishly, saying, since I'm a Hall of Famer, I deserve this. Every retired player deserves something. Annual salary and health benefits. I don't know about annual salary. I don't know. I don't know. Who's going to pay him? Who's going to give him the money?
Before we run through and do our, I'm just going to share again our social media before we sign off.
Yes.
That's about done. I do want to ask you, did you see Keelan Cole's
I
catch.
did not see the catch.
Oh, God.
Can I Google it real fast?
You can Google it if you haven't seen it. And I don't know if I can show this. I'm going to pause this for 1 second. Zoom share.
Keelan Cole catch.
I can share something. Right. Am I still? Oh, no, but I still am recording. So we were talking about the Keelan Cole catch, and I'm going to share this with everyone, give them an opportunity to see this catch, because this is Beckham-esque, no doubt about it. Let's see what Keelan Cole does here. Back in the middle.
Right.
Easily, this is your bingo basket. That's Odell Beckham right there. Look at that. And then keep it away.
That was like fingers. He just fingered it. Like,
I got it. And now let me bring it away from you. And let's just
that was the best part right here.
Look at that. That's
Where he holds it out here.
Yeah.
takes an arm.
It's amazing.
And held it out here so he couldn't get it from him. And the DB was so discombobulated that he didn't even think to try to rake his arm. And then when he brought it in, he switched it to his other arm real quick. And then he tucked and rolled.
It's why we love football.
And stayed in balance.
It's why we love football.
Excellent.
People do things like that, and your hair stands on end, and you're like, holy mackerel. Did you see that? How did he do that? Amazing. Like I said, Beckham-esque. I mean, since Beckham did his thing like that, this is pretty much the closest thing that I've seen to that. So I just wanted to get that brother some line. And you said that was done against who?
Oh, Eric Rowe.
Eric Rowe. That's a shame.
That's funny that I talked about him earlier, and I hadn't even seen the catch. It's my first time seeing it.
Let's just do a quick run before we finish up here. We have, we always share our social media. And here we have, well, where do we have? Oh, wrong one. Let's pause. Let's stop this share. And let's see if we can pull up what we actually want to share here. Where's our, what's that? What happened to? Yeah, what happened to ours?
You had them all.
Yeah, I had them all lined up, didn't I? It's
Contained Rob Gronkowski. And the Jacksonville Jaguars
there we
had an army on Sunday that contained Gronkowski. On every play, you had this. Ronnie Harrison, Miles Jack, Telvin Smith, all ready for the big route on play action.
That was a big question with the Eagles. Why?
But the Jags have the fastest linebacker, Telvin Smith, running with them. And
Why Jenkins
all for the incomplete.
left the middle of the field?
That was the question. Brady fires it in there, incomplete. Trying to hit Gronkowski with Telvin Smith on the coverage. Take a look at how darn.
I'm not sure where the heck this is coming from.
Gronkowski.
Sometimes you want to do stuff and adjust. All right, so Benny, in this section, I want to just share some information about our social media, give people an opportunity to find us and be able to track us down. So here we go. We have our Twitter feed here, and you can find us on Twitter at B&B on Football. So that would be Twitter at B&B on Football. And, you know, we're just getting started. We don't have a lot of followers. We do have a lot of likes, though. We got 910 likes from our 25 followers. So they really like whatever.
You got 25 followers?
25.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, considering, yeah.
But we're following
401 people. And so we would suggest, hey, if you're really into football and you really want to know what's going on, come check out Ben and Barry on Football on Twitter and take a look at who we're following. And you'll see a lot of a lot of people and teams and reporters and things of that nature that will definitely keep you up to date on what's going on in the football world. So that's one thing I wanted to mention. Two, Ben and Barry on football on Facebook. And so you go on Facebook, just search out Ben and Barry on football. And again, these are public pages. So you don't have to have a Facebook account to see our page.
Okay.
You know, you can go to Ben and Barry on football and on Facebook and find and take a look at all of the different things that we post in addition to our own videos. Here's a video of Stephen A. Smith talking about the NFL use of power over African American players, and I do share information there. Here's we didn't talk about the Corey situation.
Well, it's not really a situation, but basically Seth Joyner feels the same way that we feel. Like, how come Corey's not getting more run? But that's an Eagles issue, and I don't really feel
Corey Clements, a personal friend of ours who, we want to see his success, and we really think, and I know we've said this, question the rotation of the running backs, what they're doing with them, but now you got Jai, who's, not 100%, Sproles is out. So you now, with the healthy people, look to be Corey Clement, Smallwood. I think they have a third back that they brought in. So I don't know what those guys are doing, but as far as we're concerned, and as far as Seth Joyner is concerned, Corey Clement, you got to figure he's a 3-down back because he was their 3rd-down back last year.
He is a 3-down back.
He's a 3-down back, so definitely some information there. And then again, the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings, where you not only will see our top 5, but I do put out full information in terms of charting and things of that nature. So when you come here and you want to see all of the teams and where they stand, for example, here's a chart on the points against. And so that's what we do on social media. And again, you can find us at Ben and Barry on football.com. That'll take you directly to our YouTube page. So Benny, we're at that point where we just about are done, but we want to make sure that if you have a rant inside of you, that you get it out. We want you to have that stress, any of that kind of stuff. So go ahead, let it out. I don't have a rant this week. I'm good.
Oh, good. Okay, but let me tell you this. I'll try to keep it short because it's a lot more went on in this situation than I'm going to tell you about. A whole lot more, but I'm going to tell you about this. So we go into the bar on Sunday, and the Eagles game is on at the Buccaneers. And there's a bunch of Eagles fans in the bar. I do not know any of them personally. I go in, I'm with a lot of guys from the Knolls, and of course I'm with Skip. And Skip is a Buccaneers fan. So he comes in, he's ready for this game. He's fired up. Okay, he's watching the game. Deshaun already scored before we even got there, so he's feeling good. So the Eagle fans are doing their normal, making excuses and scratching their heads about why the coach is doing this or that, and we're going to come back and we're this and we're that. So after a couple of honey jacks, they're starting to get on my nerves. You know what I mean? Because it's the same old thing, man. It doesn't matter if they're young or if they're old, but the younger ones get on my nerves a little bit more. And I'm not talking about kids. I'm talking about grown people here, okay? But they're not anywhere near my age. Like Eagles fans that are my age have mellowed a bit now that they've won the Super Bowl. Where these other people, they're out of pocket. Like they can't. I'm trying to tell the guy, that team up there on the TV, that's not the team that won the Super Bowl. Y'all ain't looking right now, but you don't seem to be able to come to grips with it. So they're telling me I'm crazy and I don't know what I'm talking about. So then the guy asked me my team. So I said, proudly, with my chest out, New York Giants. Well, this guy, I thought he was going to bust a gut laughing. Okay? Obviously, you know nothing of NFL history. But that's okay, because every time you bring up past stuff, people don't want to hear it. However, the Eagles Super Bowl is also in the past, so I don't want to hear that either. I'm telling you, that team up there on the TV is not the team that won the Super Bowl. Y'all look bad. Oh, so what about the Giants? I said, we're not talking about the Giants. I didn't say the Giants were good this year. I didn't say they're better than the Eagles. I said, y'all look bad. So the guy was getting a little angry, I think. You know, I'm not exactly sure. It seemed like he was getting a little angry. So I said what I thought would calm him down as a parting shot. I said, you know that feeling you had last year when y'all won? You diehard Eagles fan, right? Yeah, I'm diehard. I said, you know that feeling you had last year when y'all won? You probably went to the parade. You look like one of them guys who was out there climbing in a tree or on a pole somewhere in the parade. You probably went down your basement after the Super Bowl game was over and shed some tears. You was that happy. You were ecstatic. I felt that way 4 times. Okay? 4 times. Just watch the game. He wouldn't stop. You know what I said? Sight unseen, I don't know. You skipping those us both. Look at the schedule. Find out when the Giants play the Eagles. I'll bet you right now. Name it. He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. Super Bowl champ, fan of the Super Bowl champions who think that the New York Giants are trash truck juice, and he would not bet me.
We put the money up, right?
Eagle fans. I'm done.
This is my line for you. I'm a Niner fan, right? But we felt that 5 times. And I tell them, look, if you guys maintain the same average numbers of years between championships, it'll be what? Another 240 years before you reach the number of championships that my Niners have? Yeah. So you won't be around for that. I won't be around for that. And the question is whether the team will even be around 240 years. So that pretty much shuts them up, and they just kind of look at me with their eyes rolling back and back of their head, and they're down there. So we both live in Philly. So as guys who are fans of teams from outside of Philly, you know, and Philly has this thing, well, you know, you don't live in San Fran, and I'm sure they tell you don't live in New York.
Right.
And I basically say to them, that's true. But this is the United States. We do live here. And let me ask you a question. If I lived in Russia, would you say I had to be a communist? Just because I'm from there, you know? So freedom of choice, that's what's beautiful about America and about us, and, you know, our ability to make our decisions based on whatever our reasonings are, and, you know, and be a fan of that team. And so, you know, it is what it is. And I don't look good in green anymore. So in any event, Ben, you've had your rant. I hope you feel better.
I did.
Yeah, okay. All that stress is gone from you.
It wasn't really stress, but I still feel better.
So this is Ben and Barry on football. We show up once a week to talk about the week that was and the week that's coming. We'll be back next week, same time, same bat station. We were going to show you our Nikes before we signed off. But I do have my Nike sneakers showing on the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings, and Ben wears Nikes all the time. Do you want to say anything about your shirt real quick before we sign off?
No, everybody who sees it knows what it is, knows what it is.
Oh, shucks. PTTFL, Philadelphia Tough Touch Football League. We both veterans of that particular league. So I want to thank everybody for joining us, and see you same time, same station. Take care.
Go Noles.
Go Noles.